Hello and welcome again to the Single Mom's Path to Prosperity. In our first session, we learned how to create a budget. So our budget consists of looking at our income and all of our debt. So we're looking at our debt to income ratio and starting to eliminate our debt. And remember, whether we got here by our circumstances or our choices or some of both, it's probably taken a lot of time to get where we are, and it's going to take us a lot of time to get out of where we're at now. But Rome wasn't built in a day, so we're just going to have to be patient and stay faithful, and just remember that with hard work and a little patience and a lot of faith, we're going to get out of the situation that we're in right now. All right, so you should have created your budget, and I have a little review sheet. I love visuals. And so we also talked about starting to eliminate the debt by looking at all of the bills that we owe for. And what I did was I took all of my bills and then I wrote it down also for the month, like how many payments I make in a month. So I took, what I owed for every single bill and looked at what my lowest bill was, and I ranked it from the lowest all the way to the highest. And then I also wrote the due dates, because at 51 I'm really bad about forgetting things. So I just wrote down all of my bills for the month. And so what we want to do is, again, look at that bill that has the lowest amount on it, and we want to eliminate that one first. Now again, it's going to take time, patience, and faith for us to start doing that. Once we've eliminated that bill, then what we're going to do is double up and work on the next lowest bill until we have eliminated all of our debt. But we're not going to, miss any payments on any bills. We're still going to make our minimum payments for the month on all the other bills that are due. Okay, so that's just a recap of what we talked about the first time. All right, so our topics for this session are going to be discipline, because it's going to require a lot of discipline for us to get out of the situation that we're in. And of course, we're going to have to create a plan. All right, so for our discipline, we're going to look at our monthly payments. So I've got my sheet right here. So we're going to look at our monthly payments. And again, we're going to differentiate between those needs and wants. So we're going to look at what we absolutely need each month, and we're going to eliminate those wants. I would like a lot of things, but do I absolutely need them? Probably not. So we're going to take a lot of that out of the picture. And Dave Ramsey even says that we've got to avoid the worship of the stuff. And he says that we've become the society in America of comparing ourselves to the Joneses. And if you think about it, Americans have gotten into that pattern that we kind of compare ourselves to others, and we see what others have, and then we say, well, hey, I might need one of those too. And then we go out and we buy some of that stuff. Or some of us, me included, tend to be a little bit impulsive. We go out and we might be feeling a little bit down during the day, and shopping might make us feel a little bit better. So we go out and we see something in the store and we say, hey, I need that. And we go ahead and purchase that on an impulse. And then we come home and we have what's called the shopper's guilt or the buyer's guilt because we've bought something that we really didn't need. So we want to be careful of falling into that pattern, and we don't want to become that person. So be careful of buying stuff that you don't need. So we want to become disciplined. We want to create a monthly budget. Okay? So we've looked at our income. We've looked at our bills. We know about how much money we should have left over after paying all of our bills for the month. Okay? So I know that something may come up and you may not be able to stick exactly to that number, and that's okay. But we want to come as close as possible, because the second part of this is we're going to create a plan. And that plan is that we're going to start saving some money, because we want to create an emergency fund. We also want to start planting our seeds. You know, some of us that, go to church, we believe in tithing. We also might want to donate money or donate things to charities. So keep all of this in mind as we are creating that plan. So you want to create a plan where you have some money set aside each month for emergencies, because let's face it, it's going to happen. Right now, I've got to have a root canal and I've got to schedule this, but I've got to find the doctor that is within my network so that I don't pay, an exorbitant amount of money for this procedure, because I'm trying to work within my budget. So when you stick to this plan, you want to try to save as much money as you can. And hey, it's great if you have even a little bit more, saved for a month than you did the month before. Like if you're able to save, let's say $300 one month, excellent. The next month, maybe you can save $400. That's even better. So try to stick to this plan and save as much money as possible. Okay? Part of your plan is also going to be to find ways of earning some extra money. Just depending on your situation and what resources you have, you may be able to find a second job. You may not. Also, you may have some extra stuff in your house that you're just not using. You can sell things on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, or there's even some other websites. But I'm going to caution you about using things like Zelle and Cash App and Venmo, because scammers like to use these forms of payment, and they're real quick to want to pay you. Hey, I'll go ahead and pay you right now. Can I pick up, this item on such and such a day? These forms of payment are really bad about accepting the money, and then these people are able to retract the money in a day or so. So be really careful about using those forms of payment. If you can, either get them to pay in cash or use something like PayPal. If your area has consignment sales and you have things that you can get rid of that way. The only thing is that with some of these consignment sales, you do have to work on typing up descriptions. You have to work on coming up with a certain amount of money for these items. and then you have to make the labels and pin everything yourself. It is very time consuming. So I'm just letting you know, if you've never done one, expect to spend a lot of time working on getting all your items prepared to sell. Some of you are extroverts, and you can work for companies like the Olive Tree people. You know, I love their products. At 51, I have to use a lot of their facial products, you know, because as you age, your skin changes and it gets more dry. I don't have the personality for it. I've tried to sell things before. It wasn't for this company, but it was for a different company. And you had to post so many things on Facebook in a day. And I would post and post and post, and you were supposed to add like 25 friends in a day. And I would do this, and I was hardly seeing any sales. Maybe you would have a better experience than I did, but it just did not work for me. All right, again, if you're an extrovert, maybe you would do well with creating a YouTube channel and, you know, going on there and talking about something, or creating a podcast, doing TikTok live. Maybe you would do really well with something like this. There's different apps you can use. I know with TikTok live, you can even ask for a coach to help you. But again, these things are kind of iffy. Now, some of these things are not mentioned in Dave Ramsey's book, but these are just some things that I know of that you can try to do to earn some extra income. So, just throwing that out there. All right, so the last thing that I would like to share, because I believe in prayer. You know, sometimes, end of the day, that's all we have. You know, sometimes we've had a day that's very, very trying, and sometimes we feel a little self-defeated, and it happens. It happens to all of us. So here are some scriptures that I'm going to share. All right, Proverbs 22:7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. So if you think about this scripture and the words in it, it's very true. So most people in America have to borrow money nowadays. So when you borrow money, you really are a servant to whoever's lended you the money. Okay? Next scripture. Proverbs 14:29. He who is impulsive exalts folly. So even think about what that means, especially with the buyers beware. And then the last one is my favorite one, and this one that I use every single day. I have this scripture in several places, not yet. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So this is my favorite one, and this is one that I say to myself a lot of times, because we have to have a lot of patience and a lot of faith just to make it through the day. And just remember that when you're trying these approaches, don't beat yourself up. It's the circumstances and our choices that have led us to where we are today. It's taken us a lot of time to get where we are, and it's going to take us a lot of time to get out of our situation. But just remember that through hard work, through faith, and through patience, you will make it through this. So, again, I hope that you've learned something. I hope that we will be a very prosperous and united community. And please pick up a copy of Dave Ramsey's book and study it, and study some of these scriptures. And if you have any questions, don't forget to put it in the comments. God bless.